Effort is often misunderstood. We think of it as a grind, a strain, a relentless push towards some far-off goal. But what if effort could be something else entirely? What if it could be a dance, a joyful expression of who you are? True effort is not about struggle, it's about alignment, about flowing with life rather than fighting against it. Today, let's explore how putting in more effort can transform from a burdensome task into a liberating journey, one that celebrates the present moment while propelling you forward. Effort is often portrayed as something heavy, something laborious, a forceful push against resistance, a grinding pursuit of achievement. But what if effort was not a battle, but a dance? Imagine a dancer moving freely to music, not fighting the rhythm, but embodying it. The dancer does not treat each step as a chore, but as an expression of joy, presence, and life itself. Effort, in its purest form, is not about strain. It is about engagement, about immersing yourself in the flow of action so completely that the line between the work and the worker dissolves. To put in more effort does not mean you must contort yourself into unnatural shapes or stretch your limits to the point of breaking. Instead, it means stepping fully into the task at hand, giving yourself to it with sincerity and presence. Think of how a bird builds its nest. It does not curse the wind or the branches it must weave together. It simply acts deliberately, consistently, and with care. Each piece of effort becomes part of a greater harmony, and the bird's purpose unfolds naturally through its actions. Effort as a dance is not about avoiding challenges. On the contrary, it means embracing them with grace and curiosity. When we treat effort as a fight, every obstacle becomes an enemy, every setback a personal failure. But when we approach effort as a natural part of life's rhythm, challenges become opportunities to grow, to discover, and to create. A dancer does not stop moving when the music shifts tempo or when the floor creaks. They adapt, adjust, and continue to move. This is the kind of effort that leads not only to accomplishment, but to fulfillment. The problem many of us face is that we resist the effort itself. We see it as something we must endure for the sake of some future reward. But this resistance makes effort feel unnatural, heavy, and even painful. Resistance is born from the idea that effort is separate from us, that it is a task imposed upon us, rather than a part of who we are. But consider this: when you love what you are doing, does effort feel like effort? Think of a child playing, building towers from blocks, or painting with wild abandon. The child is fully immersed in the activity, not worrying about the outcome, not judging their performance. They are simply engaged, and in that engagement, effort becomes play. When we dance with effort, we allow ourselves to be fully present. This is not to say that effort should be effortless in the sense of being easy or requiring no energy. Even a skilled dancer must practice, refine their movements, and push beyond their current abilities. But when effort flows from alignment with what we value and who we are, it ceases to feel like a burden. Instead, it becomes an extension of our natural energy, a way of expressing ourselves in the world. This shift in perspective, seeing effort as a dance rather than a struggle, has profound implications. It means that putting in more effort is not about forcing yourself to do more. It is about being more engaged, more present, more connected to the task at hand. Effort becomes not a means to an end, but an end in itself. You dance not to reach the last note of the song, but to feel the music, to move with it, to lose yourself in its rhythm. In this way, effort is its own reward. The very act of trying, of pouring yourself into something wholeheartedly, is a deeply human experience. It connects you to life, to growth, and to meaning. When you approach effort with this mindset, it transforms the mundane into the extraordinary. Even the simplest actions, washing dishes, writing a report, solving a problem, become opportunities to express your full presence and creativity. To put in more effort, then, is not to grind yourself down, but to lift yourself up. It is to recognize that effort, when approached as a dance, is not something you have to do, it is something you get to do. It is a chance to participate fully in life, to give yourself to the flow of the moment, and to discover the joy of movement itself. So step into the rhythm, move with purpose, and let effort become your dance. Effort carries within it a paradox that is difficult to grasp at first. The harder you try, the more resistance you create. We've all experienced it. The moments when we push and strain, willing things to work out, only to feel further from our goal than ever. But consider this: true effort is not about forcing things into place, it is about aligning yourself so that effort flows naturally. When you row against the current, every stroke is a struggle. But when you align with the current, your effort propels you forward with a sense of ease. To understand this paradox, we must first look at the nature of effort itself. Most of us think of effort as the forceful application of energy. We believe that the more pressure we apply, the closer we'll get to success. Yet this is not how nature operates. Look at a tree growing toward the sun. It doesn't force its branches upward in defiance of gravity. It grows steadily in harmony with its environment. It takes the sunlight and the soil it has, and it grows naturally, persistently. It doesn't strain, it simply grows. Effort aligned with purpose is like this. It is not a matter of sheer force, but of steady, focused energy directed toward what truly matters. The paradox of effortlessness in effort is not an argument against trying. It is not about giving up or being passive. Instead, it is about shifting your mindset from one of resistance to one of flow. Think of how water moves through a river. It does not fight against the rocks in its path, it flows around them, finding the easiest way forward. Its effort is constant and purposeful, but never rigid or strained. In life, when your effort flows in alignment with your inner purpose, it has this same quality. It is steady, persistent, and adaptable, but it doesn't feel forced. Much of the strain we feel when we exert effort comes from internal conflict. We try to achieve something because we think we should want it, because society expects it of us, or because we fear what will happen if we fail. This kind of effort feels heavy because it comes from a place of misalignment. It's like trying to swim against the tide of your own nature. But when you act from a place of clarity and alignment, when your goals resonate deeply with who you are, effort becomes lighter, more natural. It no longer feels like a battle, but like a flow of energy directed towards something meaningful. The key to this effortless effort lies in presence. When you are fully present in what you are doing, your energy is focused and undivided. You are not weighed down by worries about the future or regrets about the past. You are simply here, engaged in the act itself. In this state, effort feels almost effortless because it is not divided. A musician playing with complete focus does not think about how much effort it takes to press each key or strum each string. They are immersed in the music, and the effort flows naturally. This does not mean that effort will always be easy. There will still be moments of challenge, moments when you must stretch beyond your current abilities. But even in these moments, there is a sense of ease when you are aligned. The difficulty becomes part of the process, not something to resist, but something to embrace. The dancer who leaps into the air does not resist the force of gravity. They work with it, using it to ground their movements and make their flight more powerful. And to put in effort that feels effortless, you must trust the process. This trust does not mean that everything will go smoothly or that there won't be obstacles. It means trusting that when you align your actions with your inner purpose, the effort you put in will flow naturally, even when the road is challenging. Trust that your energy, when directed with clarity and presence, will carry you forward. Effortlessness in effort is not a magic trick, it is a practice. It requires you to let go of the idea that force equals progress. It invites you to work from a place of inner alignment, where effort is a harmonious expression of who you are. It asks you to trust the flow of life and to engage fully with the moment, knowing that each step forward is not a fight but a dance. And when you learn to put in effort in this way, you discover that even the hardest work can carry with it a sense of ease, grace, and joy. We often set our sights on goals, treating them as the ultimate destination, the singular purpose of our efforts. If only I can achieve this, we think, then I'll be happy, but this mindset traps us in an illusion, the illusion that the end goal is all that matters. In this way of thinking, every moment becomes merely a step towards something else, and we overlook the beauty of the process itself. The truth is, goals are not the destination. They are not the end of the road. They are tools, guiding stars to help us move in a direction, but they are never the purpose of the journey itself. Imagine climbing a mountain. You might think that reaching the summit is the ultimate goal, the reason for all your effort. But consider this: the summit is a fleeting moment. You stand there for a while, take in the view, and then you begin your descent. If the only value of the climb was reaching the top, the entire journey would feel hollow, its meaning condensed into a brief and passing moment. But the true value of the climb lies in the experience, the challenge of each step, the lessons learned along the way, the connection with the mountain itself. It is in the journey that the richness of effort reveals itself. Goals give structure to our efforts, but they are not the essence of what makes effort meaningful. Think of a musician learning a complex piece of music. The goal might be to perform it flawlessly, but the real growth happens in the practice, the countless hours spent repeating phrases, correcting mistakes, and discovering the nuances of the composition. The performance, while beautiful, is only the result of that deeper process. If the musician focused only on the final performance, they would miss the joy, the learning, and the fulfillment found in the daily effort. The illusion of the end goal often blinds us to the present moment. We become so fixated on what lies ahead that we fail to notice what is happening right now. This creates a sense of perpetual dissatisfaction. No matter how hard we work, no matter how much we achieve, the goal keeps moving further away. We reach one milestone, and immediately our focus shifts to the next. It is like chasing the horizon. No matter how far we travel, it remains just out of reach. But what if we approached effort differently? What if we saw the goal not as the reason for our effort, but as a point of orientation, a way to give direction to our actions? When we stop treating goals as destinations and instead view them as companions on the journey, our relationship with effort transforms. The act of trying, of striving, becomes meaningful in itself. Each step forward is no longer just a means to an end, it is an end in itself. This shift in perspective requires us to embrace the present moment fully. When you pour yourself into what you are doing right now, without obsessing over the outcome, your effort takes on a different quality. It becomes lighter, freer, more joyous. A painter lost in the act of creating is not thinking about how the finished painting will be received. They are immersed in the colors, the brushstrokes, the act of bringing something into being. It is this immersion, this presence, that makes the effort worthwhile. Of course, this does not mean that goals are unimportant. They provide direction and help us measure progress. But they are not the reason we act. The purpose of effort lies in the experience of engaging with life, of participating fully in the process of creation, growth, and discovery. The journey itself is where meaning resides, and the goal is merely the horizon that keeps us moving forward. Consider how this mindset could change the way you approach your own efforts. Instead of seeing your work, your practice, or your challenges as a grind to reach an end point, see them as opportunities to engage with life more deeply. Each task, no matter how small, is a chance to be present, to learn, and to grow. The goal might guide you, but it is the act of striving, the act of putting in effort, that enriches your life. When you let go of the illusion that the end goal is everything, you free yourself to enjoy the journey. You discover that the effort itself is what shapes you, what teaches you, and what connects you to the world around you. In this way, putting in effort is not a burden, it is a gift. It is an opportunity to participate in the unfolding of your life moment by moment, with purpose and with joy. Effort often feels like a weight we carry, a responsibility that demands seriousness and focus. We approach it with the mindset that effort equals obligation, something to endure for the sake of achieving results. But what if effort didn't have to feel heavy? What if it could be playful? When we reclaim effort as a form of play, it becomes less about the pressure to achieve and more about the joy of engaging fully with what we are doing. Playfulness transforms effort into something light, creative, and fulfilling, a way to explore life rather than simply trying to conquer it. And consider a child at play. Watch how they approach building a tower out of blocks or creating a drawing. They are completely absorbed, not because they have to be, but because they want to be. Their effort is not about proving anything to anyone or about reaching some grand milestone. It is about the simple joy of the activity itself. Even when the tower collapses or the drawing doesn't turn out as expected, they don't dwell on failure. They laugh, start over, and keep going. Effort, for them, is not a burden, it is an act of curiosity and exploration. When we grow older, we often lose this sense of playfulness. Effort becomes tied to expectations, deadlines, and the fear of failure. We start to measure the value of our actions by their outcomes rather than the experience of doing them. This shift makes effort feel rigid and exhausting. The fun is drained from the process, and all that's left is a sense of obligation. But what if we could return to that childlike mindset, where effort was fueled by curiosity and joy? Reclaiming effort as play does not mean we take things less seriously. It means we approach our actions with a sense of wonder and possibility. Think of an artist creating a sculpture. The process requires intense focus, skill, and persistence, yet it can also be playful. The artist experiments, tries new techniques, and works with the material to bring their vision to life. There may be setbacks and challenges, but these become part of the creative process, not reasons to stop. The artist is fully engaged, not out of obligation, but because they love what they are doing. This same approach can apply to any kind of effort, no matter how mundane or challenging. Whether you're solving a difficult problem, learning a new skill, or completing a routine task, there is always room for playfulness. The key is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing effort as something you have to do, see it as something you get to do, a chance to engage with life, to express your creativity, and to discover what you're capable of. But playfulness also helps us navigate failure and setbacks. When effort is tied to rigid expectations, failure feels like a devastating blow. But when effort is approached as play, failure becomes just another part of the game. It's an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to try again. Think of a scientist conducting an experiment. They don't expect every trial to succeed. They approach each attempt with curiosity, knowing that even failures bring valuable insights. This playful attitude makes the process of effort more resilient and rewarding. There is also a sense of freedom in reclaiming effort as play. When we are playful, we let go of the need for perfection. We allow ourselves to make mistakes, to take risks, and to explore new possibilities. This freedom opens the door to creativity and innovation. Effort becomes less about following a rigid path and more about discovering new ways forward. It becomes a journey of exploration rather than a race to the finish line. Playfulness does not diminish the value of effort, it enhances it. It allows us to engage with our work more fully, bringing energy and enthusiasm to what we do. When we approach effort as play, even the most challenging tasks can become enjoyable. We stop seeing effort as something that drains us and start seeing it as something that energizes us. So what would it look like to bring a sense of playfulness into your own efforts? It might mean finding small moments of joy in what you're doing, even if the task itself is difficult. It might mean experimenting with new approaches or allowing yourself to laugh at mistakes. It might mean setting aside the pressure to achieve and focusing instead on the experience of trying, learning, and growing. Effort is not meant to be a punishment, it is meant to be an expression of life. When you approach it with playfulness, it transforms from a chore into a source of fulfillment. It becomes not about proving your worth or meeting expectations, but about participating fully in the act of living. And to put in effort as play is to rediscover the joy of movement, the thrill of curiosity, and the satisfaction of creating something new. It is to find the freedom in effort, the lightness in work, and the wonder in each moment of trying. Effort often feels like it pulls us into the future, as though everything we do is for a tomorrow that hasn't yet arrived. We tell ourselves that the results of our work will justify the sacrifices we make in the present, that enduring the struggle today will bring us happiness down the line. But this mindset comes with a cost. It pulls us out of the present moment and into a state of constant waiting. We live in anticipation, caught in a cycle of when, and then when I finish this project, then I'll be at peace. When I achieve this goal, then I'll be happy. This way of thinking robs us of the opportunity to engage fully with the now, the only place where life truly happens. Putting in effort doesn't mean chasing a distant future at the expense of the present. It means showing up for what is right in front of you, pouring your energy into it with sincerity and focus. The future will unfold on its own, shaped by the actions you take today. But the joy, the growth, and the meaning of your effort can only be found in this moment, not in some imagined time ahead, but here, in the act itself. Think about a gardener planting seeds. Their work is not for the harvest that will come months later, it is for the planting itself. The feel of the soil, the care in placing each seed, the quiet satisfaction of nurturing life, these are not rewards that can be postponed. They exist in the moment of effort, in the act of doing. The harvest will come in its time, but the gardener's joy is in the now. The same is true of any effort. Whether you're solving a problem, learning a new skill, or creating something, the value is not just in the outcome, but in the experience of doing it. When you allow yourself to be fully present, every action becomes meaningful. Each step forward is an opportunity to connect with life, to engage with the process, and to find fulfillment in the act of trying. Presence is what transforms effort from a grind into a flow. When you are fully present, you are not distracted by regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Your energy is focused, undivided, and alive. You are not merely doing the task, you are inhabiting it. This kind of presence brings a sense of ease even to hard work. It allows you to move with purpose and clarity, rather than feeling overwhelmed by everything that lies ahead. But being present doesn't come naturally when we've been conditioned to always think ahead. It takes practice to pull yourself out of the whirlwind of future-oriented thoughts and back into the moment. To start small. When you're working, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Notice the sensations of what you're doing, the feel of the keyboard beneath your fingers, the sound of the pencil scratching on paper, the rhythm of your movements. Bring your awareness to the task itself, not to where it might lead. This doesn't mean you ignore your goals or pretend the future doesn't matter. It means you trust the future to take care of itself, knowing that the best way to shape it is by giving your full attention to the present. When you put in effort with presence, you create the conditions for future success while also experiencing the richness of the moment. It is not a trade-off between now and later, it is a harmony between the two. Presence also deepens your connection to the work itself. When you are fully engaged, you start to notice things you might have overlooked before. You see the details, the nuances, the patterns that only reveal themselves to someone who is truly paying attention. This heightened awareness makes your effort more effective and more meaningful. You're not just going through the motions, you're participating fully in the process. Being present while striving doesn't mean the work will always be easy. There will still be challenges, frustrations, and moments when you feel like giving up. But when you approach those moments with presence, they lose their power to overwhelm you. Instead of being consumed by the enormity of the task, you focus on the next small step, the next action you can take right now. This grounded approach keeps you moving forward, one moment at a time. In the end, the present moment is all we ever truly have. The future is a promise, the past a memory, but the now is real and alive. When you put in effort with presence, you honor this reality. You give yourself the gift of truly living, even in the midst of hard work. The results will come, but they are not the point. The point is to be here, fully engaged, fully alive, finding meaning not in the outcome, but in the process itself. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever stopped to wonder what reality truly is? The world we see, the rules we follow, the labels we wear, are they really as solid as they appear? Or could it all be a grand illusion, a shared dream that we consciously or unconsciously agree to believe in? Today I invite you to journey beyond the surface of what you call real together. We'll peel back the layers of perception, challenge the boundaries of separation, and uncover the truth that lies hidden beneath our collective agreements. The reality as we know it is far more fluid, mysterious, and wondrous than we've ever imagined. The reality as we perceive it is not a fixed entity. It is a fluid and ever-changing tapestry woven from the threads of our perceptions, experiences, and collective agreements. What we call real is a construct born from our minds, shaped by countless factors: culture, language, biology, and personal interpretation. Each of us experiences the world through the lens of our senses and thoughts, filtering the infinite possibilities of existence into something comprehensible. Yet this process is inherently subjective. The colors we see, the sounds we hear, the sensations we feel, are they intrinsic truths of the universe, or are they merely interpretations, projections of our consciousness? Imagine for a moment that you are standing before a magnificent sunset. The sky is ablaze with hues of orange, pink, and purple, and you feel a sense of awe. Now ask yourself, where does the beauty of that sunset exist? Is it in the sky itself, or is it within you? The colors you see are nothing more than wavelengths of light processed by your brain, and the emotion you feel arises from your interpretation of the scene. Another person standing beside you might see the same sunset and feel something entirely different, or perhaps feel nothing at all. The sunset remains the same, yet its reality shifts depending on who observes it and how. This is not to say that there is no underlying reality, but rather that our experience of it is always mediated by perception. Science, often regarded as the arbiter of objective truth, has revealed how deeply perception shapes our understanding. At the quantum level, particles behave differently when observed, as though the act of observation itself influences reality. This suggests that what we see is not an independent, fixed reality, but an interactive dance between the observer and the observed. Even the fundamental building blocks of matter refuse to be pinned down into something absolute. Let's consider the stories and structures we create to make sense of the world. Money, for instance, is nothing more than pieces of paper or digital entries in a system. Its value exists only because we collectively agree that it does. Laws, borders, and even social roles are constructs born from human consensus. They serve a purpose, yes, but they are not immutable truths. They exist because we agree to treat them as real. If enough people stop believing in them, they dissolve, like a mirage fading in the desert. This malleability reveals that much of what we consider solid and unchangeable is, in fact, subject to our collective imagination. Even our understanding of time falls under this fluid nature of reality. We often treat time as a straight line of past that leads to a present and moves toward a future. Yet this linear perspective is merely a convention, a mental framework that helps us navigate existence. Indigenous cultures, mystics, and even physicists have offered alternative views, seeing time as cyclical, infinite, or even non-existent. These perspectives remind us that our grasp on reality is limited to the constructs we choose to uphold. The implications of this fluidity are profound. If reality is not fixed, then neither are our limitations. We are not bound by rigid rules or identities unless we believe ourselves to be. The labels we wear, success, failure, good, bad, are as transient as the waves on the ocean. To understand this is to step into a space of liberation, where we can redefine ourselves and reshape the world around us. When we acknowledge the fluid nature of reality, life becomes an art form, a canvas where we are both the artist and the subject. We begin to see that everything we hold as certain is, at its core, a story we tell ourselves, a story that can be rewritten at any moment. Reality is not a prison but a playground, where the limits we encounter are often self-imposed. The world is not as rigid as it seems. It flows, shifts, and transforms with our awareness. By embracing this truth, we open ourselves to infinite possibilities and the profound realization that we are co-creators of the very fabric of existence. The idea of separation, that there is a clear boundary between self and other, between me and the world, is one of the most persistent illusions we cling to. From an early age, we are taught to identify with our bodies, our names, and our roles in society. We come to believe that we are solitary beings, living inside a bubble of skin, looking out at an external world that is separate and apart from us. Yet this sense of separation is not an inherent truth, but a construct of the mind, a useful fiction that helps us navigate the complexities of existence. When we begin to examine this boundary more closely, it starts to dissolve. Take a breath, for instance. The air you inhale becomes part of your body, circulating through your bloodstream, sustaining your life. When you exhale, that same air re-enters the world, mingling with the environment, feeding plants, and perhaps being inhaled by another person. Where then does you end and the world begin? The truth is that the boundary between self and other is not fixed but fluid, constantly shifting and intertwined. Even on a cellular level, the distinction between you and not you is tenuous at best. Your body is home to trillions of microorganisms that outnumber your own cells. These bacteria, fungi, and viruses are not foreign invaders, but essential components of your existence. Without them, you could not digest food, fight off disease, or even function. Are they part of you, or are they separate? The question itself reveals how artificial our notions of self can be. This illusion of separation extends beyond our physical bodies to our minds and emotions. We often think of our thoughts and feelings as private, contained within us, yet they are constantly influenced by and influencing the world around us. A kind word from a stranger can lift your spirits, just as a harsh comment can bring you down. Similarly, your mood and actions ripple outward, affecting those you interact with in ways you may never fully comprehend. We are not isolated islands of consciousness, but interconnected nodes in a vast and dynamic web of existence. Even the distinctions we draw between me and you, us and them, are constructs of perception. These divisions are often rooted in fear, a desire to protect what we perceive as ours from what we see as other. Yet, when we step back and look with clearer eyes, we see that these divisions are arbitrary. The same life force animates every being, the same stars gave birth to all the matter in the universe, and the same earth sustains us all. The differences we focus on race, nationality, religion are superficial when compared to the deep unity that underlies them. This recognition of unity is not just a philosophical abstraction, it has profound implications for how we live. When we see the world through the lens of separation, we act out of selfishness, fear, and competition. We take what we can for ourselves, often at the expense of others, because we believe that their gain must come at our loss. But when we see through the illusion of separation, we begin to act from a place of compassion, understanding that what we do to others, we ultimately do to ourselves. Imagine how different the world would be if we truly understood this interconnectedness. Conflicts would dissolve as we would see no enemy to fight. Environmental destruction would cease as we would recognize the earth not as a resource to exploit, but as an extension of ourselves. The relationships would deepen as we would approach others not with suspicion, but with the awareness that they too are part of the same vast, interconnected whole. And to break free from the illusion of separation is to awaken to a deeper truth about who we are. It is to realize that the boundaries we perceive are not barriers but bridges, points of connection rather than division. It is to understand that we are not solitary beings but expressions of a single, unified reality, each of us a wave in the ocean of existence. When we embrace this truth, we begin to live not from a place of fear and isolation, but from one of love and harmony. We see that the world is not something outside of us, but something we are intimately and inseparably a part of. And in that realization we find a profound freedom, a sense of belonging, and a deep wellspring of joy. The world we live in is not just shaped by physical forces or immutable laws of nature, it is profoundly influenced by the collective beliefs and agreements we share as a society. What we consider real, valuable, or meaningful is not fixed, but constructed through the consensus of countless individuals across time. This shared reality is a powerful force, one that governs how we live, what we prioritize, and how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Yet, when we take a closer look, we see that this collective agreement is far from an absolute truth. It is a story, a narrative we have woven together, and like any story, it can be rewritten. Take money, for instance. At its core, money is just a symbol, paper, metal, or digital code with no inherent value. It becomes valuable only because we collectively agree to treat it as such. This shared belief allows us to use it as a tool for trade, a measure of worth, and a source of power. But if tomorrow everyone decided that a different object or concept held value, the system we rely on would collapse or transform. This reveals the astonishing fragility of even the most entrenched aspects of our reality. They persist not because they are unchangeable, but because we agree, consciously or unconsciously, to uphold them. The same principle applies to social norms and cultural values. What is considered acceptable behavior, appropriate clothing, or even success varies wildly across cultures and time periods. In one era, wealth and status might be signified by owning land, in another, by technological innovation or artistic achievement. These definitions are not dictated by any universal truth, but by the collective values of a given group at a given time. They are malleable, subject to the ebb and flow of societal evolution. What we revere today may be irrelevant tomorrow, and what we dismiss as trivial now may someday be regarded as essential. Even the concept of identity is shaped by collective belief. We are born into a world that assigns us labels: gender, nationality, religion, social class, and we are taught to see ourselves through these lenses. These labels influence how we think, behave, and interact with others, yet they are not inherent aspects of who we are. They are constructs, agreements made long before we arrived, which we often accept without question. When we recognize this, we gain the freedom to redefine ourselves, to step beyond the roles we've been assigned, and to embrace a more authentic sense of being. The power of collective belief is both a source of immense strength and a potential trap. It enables us to build civilizations, create art, and solve complex problems by working together under shared assumptions. At the same time, it can bind us to limiting ideas, outdated systems, and harmful ideologies. For example, throughout history, societies have upheld beliefs that justified slavery, oppression, and inequality, often under the guise of natural order or divine will. These beliefs persisted until enough people questioned them, challenging the status quo and redefining what was considered just and true. This demonstrates that collective belief is not static, but can evolve as our awareness expands. Recognizing the power of shared reality invites us to question the agreements we participate in. Are they serving us? Are they fostering connection, growth, and well-being? Or are they perpetuating fear, division, and stagnation? When we begin to ask these questions, we unlock the potential to reshape the world. We realize that the systems and structures around us are not immutable forces, but creations of human thought, capable of being reimagined and transformed. This awareness also empowers us on a personal level. If the world is shaped by collective belief, then each of us contributes to that reality. Our thoughts, words, and actions ripple outward, influencing those around us and, by extension, the shared narrative of society. By choosing to embody values of compassion, creativity, and courage, we can become agents of change, helping to co-create a reality that reflects the best of what humanity can be. Ultimately, the power of collective belief is a reminder that reality is not something we passively observe, but something we actively participate in. It is a dynamic, living process, constantly shaped and reshaped by our agreements, both conscious and unconscious. When we understand this, we step into a position of profound responsibility and possibility. We see that the world is not set in stone, that it is as fluid and expansive as our imagination allows. And in that realization lies the freedom to dream, to create, and to transform not only our individual lives, but the shared reality we all inhabit. Awareness is the key to liberation. To recognize the illusory nature of reality is to take the first step toward transcending the limitations imposed by it. Most of us live our lives trapped in constructs we barely question, moving through routines and adhering to expectations as though they were absolute. We act out roles handed to us by society, bound by unspoken rules, conditioned to fit into structures we had no part in designing. This conditioning often feels like a prison, yet the bars and walls are not real, they are illusions, upheld by our lack of awareness. The moment we see through these illusions, we realize that the boundaries holding us back exist only because we allow them to. Breaking free begins with questioning. Why do we believe what we believe? Why do we follow certain paths and avoid others? Why do we accept some possibilities as realistic and dismiss others as impossible? These questions are powerful because they shine a light on the assumptions and agreements that shape our reality. For instance, many of us internalize the belief that success requires following a linear path, study hard, get a good job, climb the ladder, and achieve stability. But is this the only way? Or is it simply the story we have been told? By questioning the narrative, we open the door to alternatives. The same is true of fear. So much of what holds us back is rooted in fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. These fears often stem from societal constructs teaching us that to fail is shameful, to be rejected is to lose worth, and the unknown is a dangerous place. Yet when we bring awareness to these fears, we see that they are not intrinsic to us, they are learned, and what is learned can be unlearned. To confront fear with awareness is to strip it of its power, to see it for what it is, a shadow cast by the mind, not an insurmountable obstacle. Awareness also dissolves the illusion of control, a fixation that often keeps us stuck. We cling to plans, routines, and expectations, believing that we can control every aspect of our lives. But reality is far more dynamic and unpredictable than our plans account for. When we resist this unpredictability, we suffer, caught in frustration and disappointment. Yet when we bring awareness to the transient, flowing nature of life, we realize that control is an illusion. This doesn't mean we should abandon effort or direction, but rather that we approach life with a sense of openness and adaptability, embracing change instead of resisting it. In this state of heightened awareness, we begin to see life as it truly is, a series of interconnected moments, each alive with potential. We become present, no longer trapped in the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. In the present, we are free to engage with life fully, to make choices that align with our deepest values rather than following paths dictated by external pressures. This presence allows us to act not out of obligation but from inspiration, not from fear but from love. Awareness also connects us to others. When we see through the illusion of separation, we recognize that the struggles and joys of others are not separate from our own. This awareness fosters compassion, a deep understanding that everyone is navigating the same web of illusions, fears, and constructs. Instead of judgment, we feel empathy. Instead of competition, we seek collaboration. We understand that by lifting others, we lift ourselves, because we are all part of the same interconnected whole. Most importantly, awareness reminds us that reality is not fixed. The beliefs and systems we take for granted are not immutable truths, but creations shaped by human thought and action. This recognition is liberating because it reveals that we are not merely subjects of reality but co-creators of it. The stories we tell ourselves, the values we uphold, and the actions we take all contribute to shaping the world. When we act with awareness, we can consciously choose the kind of reality we wish to create. And to live with awareness is to reclaim our power. It is to step out of the shadows of conditioned thinking and into the light of conscious choice. It is to see life not as something that happens to us, but as something we participate in, something we shape through our perceptions, intentions, and actions. This shift in perspective is profound, transforming limitations into possibilities and fears into opportunities. It is a reminder that we are not prisoners of reality, but participants in its unfolding. Through awareness, we awaken to the truth that the world is not something we must endure, but something we are free to explore, create, and reimagine. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a dance to be experienced. When we come to understand that reality is a co-created experience rather than a rigid, preordained structure, we free ourselves to live with greater spontaneity and joy. The very notion of life as a serious matter begins to dissolve, replaced by a recognition of its playful, dynamic nature. Existence is not about grasping or achieving, it is about participating, flowing, and embracing the rhythm of the moment. We often treat life as a linear journey, a series of milestones to be reached, goals to be achieved, and tasks to be completed. This approach fosters a sense of urgency and stress, as though we are racing against an invisible clock, striving to reach some distant finish line where fulfillment and peace await. But when we step back and question this mindset, we see that the finish line never truly arrives. The achievement of one goal simply sets the stage for the next, and the cycle continues endlessly. In chasing a future that never comes, we miss the richness of the present. The truth is, life unfolds not as a straight line, but as an intricate dance. It is full of twists, turns, and improvisations, a constant interplay of order and chaos, structure and spontaneity. Like a dancer responding to music, we are meant to engage with life's rhythm in the moment, allowing ourselves to move with it rather than against it. When we approach life in this way, we discover a sense of freedom that transcends the need for control. We realize that fulfillment does not come from reaching a destination, but from fully experiencing the journey. This playful engagement with life extends to how we view challenges and setbacks. In the dance of existence, there are moments of misstep, imbalance, and uncertainty. These moments are not failures, but integral parts of the rhythm. Just as a skilled dancer incorporates unexpected movements into their routine, we too can adapt to life's challenges, using them as opportunities to grow and evolve. When we stop seeing obstacles as threats and start seeing them as invitations to explore new possibilities, we transform our relationship with the world. And to embrace life as a dance also means letting go of the need for absolute certainty. Many of us cling to fixed ideas, rigid beliefs, and predictable routines because they provide a sense of security. Yet this clinging often blinds us to the beauty and wonder of life's unpredictability. The most profound experiences often arise when we step into the unknown, open to the surprises and possibilities it holds. Life's magic lies not in knowing but in discovering, not in controlling but in surrendering to the flow of existence. This perspective invites us to view the world with curiosity and wonder, as though seeing it for the first time. A child's laughter, a bird in flight, the rustling of leaves in the wind, these simple moments are not trivial, they are the essence of life's beauty. When we stop rushing through life and start paying attention, we begin to see that the extraordinary is woven into the fabric of the ordinary. Every moment becomes an opportunity to connect with the deeper currents of existence, to feel the pulse of life flowing through us and around us. Engaging with life as a dance also deepens our relationships with others. In the rhythm of existence, every interaction is an exchange of energy, a moment of connection and co-creation. When we approach others with openness and playfulness, we create space for authentic connection. We stop trying to control or fix those around us and instead meet them where they are, honoring their unique rhythms and allowing our interactions to unfold naturally. This approach fosters harmony, trust, and joy, enriching our shared human experience. Ultimately, seeing life as a dance is about embracing our role as co-creators of reality. We are not passive observers, we are active participants, shaping the world through our choices, perceptions, and intentions. This realization is empowering, reminding us that life is not something that happens to us, but something we are intimately involved in. And by choosing to dance with life, to engage with its rhythm, to play with its possibilities, and to flow with its changes, we step into a space of profound creativity and joy. In this dance, there is no right or wrong way to move. There is no final destination to reach or ultimate goal to achieve. There is only the rhythm of the moment, inviting us to join in, to express ourselves fully, and to celebrate the miracle of existence. To live in this way is to awaken to the truth of who we are, not separate beings striving against the world, but integral parts of a vast, interconnected dance, each of us adding our unique steps to the ongoing creation of reality.